Hello everyone. Under the course of Numerical Method and Computer Programming, we student of Department of Mechanical Engineering, College of Engineering, Pune are going to present some research based learnings. I, Tejas Ladda, my friend Rushikesh Kadu and my friend Rushikesh Pachghare, we three are going to present this research learning. So as we know, the inverse kinematics can be solved by analytical method and the other is numerical method. But it is difficult to solve by analytical method as the degree of freedom increases. So, by using the Jacobian based numerical method, we can solve any degree of freedom easily. So, the research paper that we are going to study is 7 degrees of freedoms robot numerical approach method with Jacobian. The author of paper is Sunopark and Mincholi, published by 2018 IEEE International Conference and Journal ICT Robotics 2018. So, in this presentation, we are going to discuss the contents are motivation of the paper, introduction, objective and aim, methodology, numerical method used and detailed analysis. Finally, the results, the concluding remarks, and what we have learned from this activity. Therefore, the motivation for the topic. As we know, the inverse kinematics can be solved by analytical method as well as by numerical method. But it is difficult to solve by analytical method as the degree of freedom keeps increasing. So contrastively, the method that we can use which can help us to solve easily any degree of freedom, that is Jacobian based numerical method. This paper is presented about Jacobian based numerical solution. In the future, the study will be adapted for 7 degrees of freedom robot arm for approaching desired position. So, in introduction, for controlling robot, a robot position and orientation must be designed to move object point. It means robot should consider two cases. One is that when each joint angle theta is known, the other case is goal position and orientation is desired. First case is simply adapting to use forward kinematics, but in second case is that some analytical approach is needed. The solution to find angle theta when the target point is given is defined to inverse kinematics. Inverse kinematic case can also distinguish between analytical method and numerical method. The advantages of using analytical method are that the solutions always correct and the calculation time is fast. In the numerical method case, the advantage of using numerical method are that it is flexible to adapt DH parameter changing system and high degrees of freedom. So the objective of this research paper is to develop the Jacobian based numerical method to easily solve any degree of the freedom problem, and the final aim of the study will be adapted to 7 degree of freedom robotics arm for approaching desired position. Now my friend Rushikesh Pasgare will take you through methodology and numerical method used and detailed analysis.
Thank you, Tejas. So, in this method, we are considering a case where we know the initial and desired position of an effector, and we will use Jacobian matrix to find the changes required in initial values to achieve the final positions. As in the figure, we can represent the position and orientation of end effector P in terms of angle of joints. Here, we are only considering the position of end effector of a two-axis robot. After differentiating the matrix equation P, we will get the differentiated equation in the form of Jacobian as shown. We can find the inverse or pseudo inverse of the Jacobian matrix, and then by this pseudo inverse we can find the changes in joint angles or theta with respect to changes in position of end effector. In this research paper, author have used this method to calculate the angles of 7-axis robot. They have calculated required changes in theta to achieve the desired position. Position and orientation parameters are given in the table according to DH parameter system. Initial joint angles are assumed and then initial position of the end effector is calculated as the matrix toward right side of the presentation. Considering desired position and number of steps, change in position and orientation is calculated, and this change dp is used to calculate new joint angles. These new joint angles are used to calculate new position of end effector, and this process is repeated till the desired step or till the desired position is achieved. Results are then simulated to visualize the process, which is shown below, and the final position after last step is calculated, which is as below. So now I would like to hand over this presentation to Rushikesh Kadu.
Thank you, Rushikesh. Now, continuing the discussion, I would like to focus on how widely this method is used. I term this as Jacobian web. So, to understand how far this Jacobian web is spread, I have considered some research oriented problems where this method is frequently used. The first is inverse kinematics. Jacobian method has been found very important in inverse kinematics where you find joint parameters using Jacobian matrix. As we have already discussed this in earlier slides, we won't go much deeper in this case. The second is soil analysis. During soil analysis, to estimate the soil water content and soil temperature based on the screen level temperature and relative humidity observation, the method is being used. This method is called as EKF method, which means extended Kalman filter method, which employs Jacobian as an observation operator. The third is calculating electrode position. Electrical impedance tomography, which is shortly referred as EIT, measures voltage at the boundary of a domain through electrodes. So, the incorrect or imperfect positioning of electrodes may lead to the errors that results in significant reconstructed image artifacts. To reduce these artifacts, proper or perfect positioning of electrode is necessary. To position these electrodes perfectly, many methods are being used, but the most effective method is Jacobian method. We are not going into deep to understand how Jacobian method is being used in the problems discussed above, as this is a part of further scientific studies and research. So we are mainly focusing on where this Jacobian method is being used. Fourth, solving system of nonlinear equations associated with PDEs and ODEs. Solving nonlinear ODEs and PDEs is a lengthy and cumbersome process if we go by conventional method. So we use a method called homotopy method, which employs Jacobian iterative method. We put our parameters in iterative method and the values of the parameters are determined in an order so that the better convergence rate is obtained. Fifth, Jacobian elliptical function expansion solution of nonlinear stochastic equation. Jacobian elliptical function expansion method is extended and applied to construct exact solution of nonlinear weak type stochastic partial differential equation. Sixth, integration of large chemical kinematics. Due to computational cost associated with time integration of steep and large chemical system, a novel approach is proposed. This approach combines exponential integration and a Krylov subspace approximation to the exponential function of the Jacobian matrix. 7. For implicit solution of Navier-Stokes equation on staggered overset curvilinear grid with immense boundaries. Explicit and semi-implicit schemes in flow simulations involving complex geometries and moving boundaries suffer from time step restriction, and low convergence rates. Implicit schemes can be used to overcome this restriction but cannot be used for Navier-Stokes equation due to their non-linearity. So, Kirillov subspace method combined with Newton method can be used in case of Navier-Stokes equation. The point is Newton-Kirillov method uses Jacobian matrix to solve nonlinear system of equation. 8. To solve 1D and 2D reaction diffusion based on Bessel function. This method is introduced to solve nonlinear partial differential equations. We use spectral collocation method based on Bessel function of first kind and Jacobian free Newton generalized minimum residual method. So our PDE is converted into nonlinear system of algebraic equation using spectral collocation method, and solution to this system is obtained by Jacobian free Newton generalized minimum residual method. Now, if I summarize what we have discussed in earlier slides, then we will see that the numerical methods have been proved as the biggest mathematical aid to scientific achievements. Here we encountered that how Jacobian is being used in different fields to overcome or to come out with the required solutions to a particular scientific problem. Jacobian method is one of the most widely used numerical method in the field of research and scientific studies. I think many of us must be struggling to understand what is the significance of this activity. So I think this question is pretty important to be answered. I think I find this activity as a bridge which connects the theoretical engineering studies with the outer practical world. It forces us to think about the real life problems and helps us to connect the problem with our studies, expanding our vision in the technical world. Now, concluding the presentation, I would like to express my deep sense of gratitude to dear Patange sir who made us to involve in such a beautiful activity. It was a great pleasure and fun to carry out this activity. Thank you. Thank you very much.